by the exact same person you do it a month before. He was asked the same question, and in a month's time, he still didn't know what the question was about. But you know what's even scarier than that is that his campaign was asked a week after that. And they said, oh, yeah, we're aware of the nuclear arsenal. Our biggest problem is that we have not been willing enough to use our nuclear arsenal. Really? We're going to nominate somebody to be the head of the Republican Party and possibly the president who thinks that our biggest problem is that we're not eager enough to use our nuclear weapons? See, I think there needs to be a voice of reason. We need to have peace through strength. I think we need to have a strong military, strong enough to deter and repel all attack, but not a military that's eager for war, or not a leader that's eager for war. We need to understand the unintended consequences of intervention. We're still suffering the unintended consequences of toppling Hussein. What are the results of the Iraq War? We spent $1 trillion. We lost 5,000 young American men and women. And who is Iraq most friendly with now? Iran. So they repaid us. We liberated them, and they repaid us by becoming allied with Iran. Who's their second best friend now? Russia. So I don't think the world has become more stable from the Iraq War. I think it's actually less stable, and the chaos continues on. And people say, well, we have to defeat ISIS. I think we can be part of the solution, but ultimately the only victory that is going to be accepted by the people who live there is when people who look like them and people who have the same religion defeat them. It's going to have to be people in Tikrit rising up and fighting against the people who've taken Tikrit. If we take Tikrit back, in a Sunni village in the middle of Iraq, and we garrison 1,000 soldiers there, will they ever accept peace? No. But if we have one of the leaders of Tikrit go back and be part of the leading tip of the spear that fights and defeats them, ultimately it will be fellow Sunni Muslims saying, this does not represent Islam, because that's the biggest part of this. We can say it all we want, but they don't care what a Christian or an American says about Islam. It has to be fellow members of the Islamic faith saying that this is an aberration, it doesn't represent us. It doesn't mean we stand back and do nothing. There are people over there who are fighting to overturn ISIS. I think the Kurds are friendly to America and would fight and do fight. But the thing is, it can't always be us that does everybody's fighting. It's extraordinarily expensive. We borrow $1 million a minute. You want to know whose fault it is? Everybody wants to blame somebody. Whose fault the debt is? Is it the Democrats' fault? Yes. But is it the Republican fault? Yes, it's both parties' fault. In fact, the loudest voices in Washington right now for more spending are Republicans. There are people on the right, let's name them, McCain, Graham, Rubio, Cruz is in the bunch as well, that want unlimited spending for the military. But they can't get it unless they give the Democrats what they want. Unlimited spending for domestic spending and welfare. So you get both. You get the military spending and the welfare spending, and the debt is out of control. I ran for office because, frankly, I was upset with Republicans. Republicans doubled the debt under George Bush. It went from $5 trillion to $10 trillion. We added new departments. We doubled the size of the Department of Education. All the stuff we said we were against, we did. We added new entitlements. And we also greatly increased the military spending. And then we have a Democrat president. Now it's going from $10 trillion to $20 trillion. President Obama is set to add more debt than all the previous presidents combined. But both parties are at fault. They both get what they want. I kept them up till 3 in the morning, hectoring them. And if you want to know whether they swear on the Senate floor, yes, they were swearing at me. They weren't happy because I was keeping them up all night, but I wanted to make sure that they knew that giving President Obama an unlimited authority to borrow unlimited amounts of money for his last year in office was a huge mistake. And that's what we did. We gave him an unlimited amount, but the lobbying for it came from the right and from the left. So I would say that I'm the only fiscal conservative on either side. Because, I'm willing to hold the line on everything. And some will say, oh, well, that's for a weak defense. I'm not for a weak national defense. My father-in-law spent 20 years in the military. My dad spent 5 years in the military. My brother-in-law went to the Air Force Academy. I have a nephew who flies the P-3 in the Navy. I have 2 other nephews that are enlisted in the Navy. We have a long family history of serving the country and being proud of our national defense. But we are not stronger as a nation if we borrow more money. If you're going to borrow your money from China to put more into military spending, is that making us stronger? Where does some of the money go? Last year we spent $43 million in Afghanistan on a natural gas station. First problem, they don't have cars in Afghanistan. Second problem, they don't have any cars that run on natural gas. Why was it done? Somebody wanted to do a green project somewhere around the world, so somebody got rich building it. What was the actual cost? About $500,000. So we spent 86 times the normal cost because someone wanted to make the military green, and then somebody wanted to do something in Afghanistan. We have spent more money in Afghanistan than the entire Marshall Plan after World War II, and not to a great effect. Why? Because nation building doesn't work. We are not able to create democracies out of whole cloth. Afghanistan has never, ever been a country. It's a region with about 5 or 6 tribes that have always been more loyal to their tribal loyalty than to any nation's capital. Iraq is the same thing. Iraq is not a country. It never will be. In fact, many people are admitting that it is no longer a country. It was drawn by the Western world, ignorant of tribal loyalties, ignorant of tribal, regional, local politics, and they never were a country. But if we don't understand the past, we're going to be doomed to repeat it. What I'm offering is a different way. What I'm offering is a small government limited by the Constitution. What I'm offering is less power in Washington, more power to the states and the people. People say, oh, well, Donald Trump's going to fix things. Here's the problem. Think about what he's asking. He's telling you first that he's really, really rich, so he must be really, really smart, so he must be really, really rich, and he must be really, really smart. If you just give him power, he'll fix things. But for many of us in this room, the tradition that we have supported is that of limited government. Those of us who believe in the Constitution believed, as Lord Acton said, that power corrupts, and that absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so the tradition of not only the Magna Carta, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, has been to limit power. Even someone who says that they are a genius and they're going to fix things, we don't want centralization of power. But Donald Trump is unfamiliar with the tradition of limited government. He's unfamiliar with conservatism. He's unfamiliar with the Constitution. He voted for Barack Obama. What happened to our party? What happened to conservatives that we have forgotten who are and what is conservative, that we would consider supporting somebody who voted for Barack Obama in 2008? Something's wrong, but we've been sort of misled to think he's going to be strong and he's going to fix things. It scares me to death to think of giving him the reins of power. We have a chance to win in New Hampshire. We've got a great campaign in Iowa. I hope you want to be part of it, and I hope you will go out and get us the votes to prove them all wrong, that they don't get to decide the election. You do, the voters of New Hampshire.